Unfortunately, I had to be one of the victims of getting my car hit.
Now, how do you feel about the national story with, like, eating dogs and eating pets?
But after watching the debate, I've never had any issues with anyone, the immigrants that have came.
Here in Springfield, Ohio, the talk of the nation right now, where there's been about 20,000 Haitian migrants that have moved here over the last couple of years, mostly has gone unnoticed until just recently. But I'm going to do a quick little drive through town, and we'll talk about how the Haitian migrants have affected this area. In 2020, Springfield, Ohio had about 58,000 people. Since then, there's said to have been about 20,000 Haitian migrants that have moved into Springfield. Some of them legally, some of them illegally, and some of them are on a temporary protected status, which is a program that allows the migrants to live and work in the U.S. for a temporary but for an extendable period of time. This option is attractive for many migrants who come from countries that have large amounts of civil unrest and turmoil, in which Haiti has that. Immigration has become a huge discussion point in the current presidential race. Donald Trump emphasized building a border wall during his tenure, whereas the U.S. has seen soaring numbers of immigrants during the Biden administration. Once again, some legally, some illegally, and some on a temporary protection status. Kamala Harris has proudly stated how she and her administration have given extensions to over 100,000 Haitian migrants, stating that they needed our support and protection. Today, there's thought to be about 727,000 Haitian migrants in the entire country, with 2% of them living in Springfield, Ohio. And because of the recent presidential debate, along with storylines of migrants eating ducks and cats, Springfield, Ohio has been placed in the national spotlight and has become the poster child for the entire country when it comes to the immigration debate. Meanwhile, locally, there are many lifelong American residents who feel like their needs have taken a back seat to the needs of these Haitian migrants. At this point, there are dozens of YouTube videos out there showing Springfield residents voicing their concerns on the matter, whether it's to media outlets, whether it's to individual content creators like me, or whether it's in meetings that are being held in City Hall. With Springfield being a city of only 58,000 people, not counting the recent population boom with the Haitian migrants, you could say that 1 out of every 4 people who live in Springfield today are Haitian migrants. The population increase has put a strain on Springfield's resources, infrastructure, and housing to where it's negatively affecting the people who have called Springfield home for a long time. So much so that some of the longtime natives are moving away from Springfield because they have no better option. Well, let's give Springfield some more context so that those who are unfamiliar with this city can better understand it. Now, I know cities like Springfield pretty well. I used to live in a city that's similar to Springfield, 1 hour west of here on the Indiana-Ohio state line. And when you have 4 decades of population decline, you get a lot of homes that look like this. Just abandoned and just kind of sitting here, just rotting away. Springfield has lost about 30,000 people or 40,000 people since 1960 when the population peaked. And until recently, the city hasn't seen any population growth. What were those numbers exactly? Well, in 1960, Springfield, Ohio had 82,000 people. In 2020, that number dropped to 58,000. So that's a decline of 24,000 people. Springfield is a Rustbelt city that relied on industry and manufacturing during its peak years. Some of the major industries in town included farm machinery, trucks, and a once large magazine company. They had their headquarters here in Springfield, and they did all of their printing here in Springfield. The company once employed 2,000 people. Unfortunately, it closed a long time ago, and today, the once iconic building no longer stands. Springfield still has some manufacturing jobs available today, but it's nothing like what it used to be, and it shows in the economy. 22% of Springfield's residents lives in poverty, and the median household income is $45,000 per year, or $30,000 less than the national average. That being said, if you trot around the city today like I did, you can find many abandoned structures, whether they're houses or old businesses. Blight removal programs over the years have been able to clear entire blocks, but it hasn't been enough, as there are still many abandoned homes, specifically in the west, south, and east sides of the city. And after decades of economic uncertainty, here comes 20,000 Haitian migrants all of a sudden living in this conservative small city in west central Ohio. It came as a shock and a clash of cultures. The problem is not necessarily the migrants eating cats, ducks, or people's pets, but it's a list of other issues that present bigger problems. For example, many of the Haitian migrants aren't legally able to operate a motor vehicle in the U.S. Springfield does offer transit through what they call SCAT, but with like most cities that are the size of Springfield in this country, the city bus is not a very effective mode of transportation, as the bus runs at a limited basis and serves only a few major thoroughfares through town. Well, despite not being legally able to do so, many of these migrants have been driving cars anyway, as that's the only way that they can get from point A to point B in a lot of cases. Not just in Springfield, but everywhere in this country. That doesn't make it legal or okay, but as a result, there have been a lot of car crashes, and it's become a huge concern in this town. Most of the crashes have been fender benders, but unfortunately some of them have been fatal, like the story of the school bus crash that recently has caught the nation's attention. The crash occurred northwest of Springfield along a rural two-lane stretch of State Route 41 in August of 23, when Haitian migrant Hermanio Joseph was speeding in a Honda Odyssey without a valid driver's license. Coming around a curve going the opposite direction was a school bus with 52 kids inside. Joseph crossed over the double solid yellow line on State Route 41 while being blinded by the sunrise, which forced the school bus driver to slam on the brakes and to steer the bus off of the road towards the right and into a ditch. Despite the school bus driver's efforts, Joseph's van still caused a head-on collision with the bus. Unfortunately, this resulted in the death of a young child, with many others being injured. Well, on May 1st of 2024, Joseph was sentenced from 9 to 13.5 years after he was found guilty for involuntary manslaughter and vehicular homicide, along with, of course, breaking the law for driving without a valid driver's license. That's just an overblown national story of an accident that occurred here, as people say that there are as many as 5 to 6 accidents a day, mostly being caused by these unlicensed Haitian migrants. I'm uploading this video on Sunday, September 15th, and I was in town on Friday, September 13th. While I was in Springfield driving around, there was another major headline that came out of town involving Haitian migrants and car crashes. According to the New York Post, a black Hyundai sedan collided with a truck that was driven by a mother of 3 with an autistic daughter in the back seat. The Haitian driver made a right turn from the left lane and crashed into the mother's Ford F-350, which was making a right turn from the right lane. The Haitian driver was driving for Amazon at the time and apparently was a licensed driver, despite being at fault for the crash, and despite living in the U.S. for 3 years, in which you should be able to adapt to following the laws in the U.S. over that time period, at least I would think. But regardless, he still couldn't figure out why the police were asking him questions. Well, afterwards, the driver of the Ford F-350 provided even more confirmation that this happens all the time in Springfield. Another quote gathered by the New York Post had a guy that witnessed the crash and continued to validate that car crashes are a big problem in the area by saying, "Every day I almost get hit by Haitians at this same intersection. They don't know how to drive, the Haitian was in the wrong lane to turn right, and that's why they collided." It's not just the car crashes either. When I was there, Springfield was actually under bomb threats as a result of the national media attention. The city closed government buildings and several schools for 2 days, in which the second day was the day that I was there. City commissioners and a municipal employee were the target of an emailed threat, and those were threats that the city took very seriously, as they should. I tried talking to some city employees, but they were told that they couldn't talk to the media, so I respected that. But they seemed to be extremely concerned with everything that was going on, and they were concerned for me as well. Speaking of the media, while I was there, I couldn't help but notice just how many other media outlets were in town. There were mostly other local Ohio TV stations, and I didn't get most of that on camera, but there were also some other independent journalists and people like me, content creators, going about, trying to just see what's going on. What is going on here is the population spike of 20,000 Haitian migrants has put a strain on the city's infrastructure and services. I was able to talk with a native about it while I was here.
I'm here looking for housing and have found that it's nearly impossible to even get housing.
I'll have plenty more of that interview coming up later. Springfield residents feel strongly as if their needs are taking a backseat to the assistance of Haitian migrants. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. They all seem to feel the same way, and they all want something to be done about it. For example, there are stories of veterans who have served for our country who are unable to properly receive assistance in Springfield because of all of the available resources being given away to Haitian migrants. Once again, some of the migrants are here legally, some are here illegally, and some of them are here on a temporary basis. Another example of it being an issue is that a lot of the area's jobs are going to Haitian migrants as well, leaving many natives unemployed, whereas otherwise they might have been employed. However, there are YouTube videos out there where media outlets are talking to some of the area's employers, and some of the employers have mentioned that the Haitian migrants provide to be more stable employees, and they don't have to worry about them being on drugs, not showing up for their shift, and they don't have to worry about a high employee turnover rate. And I can vouch for those being real issues in this region, as once again I used to live an hour west, and I've heard numerous stories about how employers can't find anybody worth hiring, as a lot of people who apply for these jobs have addictions to illegal substances or are unqualified for the position. I saw in another YouTube video on the matter that was done by Blaze TV, where one of the area residents claimed that there was an agency called One Diversity Staffing that has helped give thousands of jobs to Haitian migrants over the last several years, and one of them was Hermanio Joseph, who once again slammed into the school bus while he was working a job that was given to him by One Diversity Staffing. The thought of that angers many natives as to how someone who doesn't have a valid driver's license is able to work a job that requires you to drive. That being said, I didn't get the sense that the locals had a strong hatred towards the Haitian migrants. That seems to be an overblown part of the story. Mostly the locals are just frustrated over how things have gone. The car crashes, the limited resources available for the longtime locals, the rent increases, the overcrowded schools, and the concerns over the infrastructure not being able to keep up with the increased population. Really, Springfield is going to need some federal assistance to be able to keep up with this population growth. Well, I was really lucky to run into a couple of people while I was here. I ran into Christopher, who is a Haitian migrant. But first, I'll play the interview that I had with Henrietta, as she was a pleasure to speak with and had great knowledge of the overall situation.
Unfortunately, I had to be one of the victims of getting my car hit. So that was early on when I noticed a couple, I'd say maybe a year or two ago, that happened. And but after watching the debate, I've never had any issues with anyone of the immigrants that have came. So I think that it's sad that they kind of dumped them here in such a small community, which now I'm here looking for housing and have found that it's nearly impossible to even get housing. I found out today that they bought a whole entire apartment complex, raised the rent, and pretty much kicked those residents that were basically Americans out because they could no longer afford the rent. So I think it's disparaging at this point that we need help.
Yeah, that seems to be the biggest problem. It's not necessarily that you don't like those people, it's that it's causing issues in the city. It's raising the rent prices.
Yes.
A lot of them don't know how to drive. And what you said, that's been one of the biggest problems. There's,
yes.
Of course, that one story where the school bus rolled over that everybody knows about.
That's just breathtaking. I can't believe what's happening. What's going on?
Do you see local officials doing anything to try to make things better?
Not really. I remember seeing local officials do some type of news press, I think it was, basically stating what's going on and that they needed help. But I don't see anybody actively out here. Me as a citizen that just moved back here, I'm even considering starting to help tutor some of the people and especially the women, about what it's like to be American and how to protect themselves.
Well, that would be great because especially when it comes to like the elementary schools and whatnot, all the families that are migrating here, they have kids that are going to the schools, but their parents don't know English. These kids don't know English. But one of the things that I saw was that schools were having to hire these translators, which is really expensive. So having volunteers like yourself would help a lot. Like if more people like you had that mindset and maybe stepped out and tried to volunteer, that would be a big help.
Yes.
What ways have you tried to, or is that something that you just thought about doing?
That's something. I haven't been here very long. I've only been here a couple months.
Okay.
But I've been trying to see where the biggest population of them were. So that, but my first thing was to make up some flyers in their language. I think that's important, that you first have to start off by communicating to them in their language, not approaching them speaking English. They have no clue what you're saying. So, but I noticed a large community down on Lagunda Avenue. So I'm even thinking about, I noticed a large community at the library. Just kind of going to those areas, handing them these flyers and giving them the opportunity to learn. I noticed Clark State has some ESOL classes they've added for that reason in particular, so that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, when there's a demand for something, you'd like to see some kind of service be supplied for that, so hopefully that's something that can continue to be implemented here in Springfield going forward. Have you noticed that there's been a lot of Americans in Springfield that have had a hard time finding a job, let alone renting? Have jobs been filled up by these migrants as well?
Yes. Again, it's sad. My son lives here and he's gone to school here. I've paid to send him to private school here. But why can't he get a job? But yet, a Haitian gentleman can come and get the job right away knowing they don't even speak English. Right. Is it because they're going to pay them less? So that's not fair to the American people. And, what I've been finding as well, me as an African American, when we're looked at like, well, I don't know if you're Haitian or not. So I just had a gentleman look at me, an older Caucasian gentleman, asked me, how do you tell them apart? There's no way to tell us apart. No way than there is to tell Caucasian apart. Right. Until someone starts to speak. Right, you have to talk with them and get to know them. Right, you can't just go around and assume. Assume everything. You have to get out there and speak to them. Because Springfield, before the Haitian migration, they had a decently sized African-American population. Yes. It's been a long-time blue-collar community. Yes. And a long time ago, just like all these other Rustbelt cities, you had these people coming from the South during the Great Migration and settling down in cities like Springfield. So like Springfield, Dayton, Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Akron, all of these Rust Belt sizable cities throughout the Midwest have a sizable African-American population. Yes, at this point, yes, I would say. And, it still doesn't change the fact that we're still not accepted in many places, even as being of color living in America. So, I mean, even though, we've migrated here in quite large numbers. Well, you've been here for a long time. Very, very long time. It's been well established in cities like Springfield for a long time, like a century. Yeah, so I mean, I think that we still struggle, but not nearly like someone, who's an immigrant. I think we've settled pretty good. And I think that we could help the migrants coming in like we did. I think we really need to reach our hands out to those people. And not just the Haitians, but even you have a larger, I noticed the Hispanic community, Latino community here is getting larger as well. Yeah, that's happening in a lot of places, that's for sure. Yeah. Well, this is a nice little area out here in yes, I love it. The fountains. Yeah, like I said, I'm used to Columbus, Westerville area, so I'm used to being in this type of environment. So it's really nice to see Springfield picking up, cleaning up, and really rejuvenating the State Theater. To see the rejuvenation of downtown Springfield is awesome. So you grew up here and this wasn't always like this? No, it wasn't always like this. Huh. There was very little to do downtown. No vendors really, no retailers. So it's a slow process, I see, but it's happening. And then you have the housing they put in these lofts in some of these buildings as well. So, I think it's really good. I have to say to the leaders that they're on track with something that's positive. It's a slow process. I do understand that. Well, is there anything else you would like to add about Springfield and this situation? Only thing I can add to Springfield really in this situation is to open your arms up and welcome people and make them feel wanted and needed. They may not be here by choice, but they're here. So all we can do is try to live together, get along, help each other. And I just hope Springfield and Springfield's leaders really embrace this change and are able to get the help that we need for the people that have joined us.
Despite the big storyline here in town with the Haitian migrants and the car crashes and all those headlines, the pet eating stuff, the duck eating stuff, whatever, this theater actually reopened this year, the State Theater here in Springfield. And I was able to just go inside, and it's a pretty awesome theater. The State Theater first opened in Springfield in 1927. Like many of the country's historic theaters, the State Theater survived a long closure, being closed in 1990 and reopening this year in 2024. The owners made sure to keep the historic architectural details in place while modernizing it. I'd say they did a great job. Shortly after going inside the State Theater, I was able to talk to Christopher, who migrated to Springfield from Haiti.
Your name is Christopher?
Yeah, that's my name. What brought you here? How long have you been here in Springfield?
So I live here from almost here.
Almost a year?
I live here almost here.
Do you have family members that have moved here too?
Yes,
Yeah.
I live here with my mother, my uncle, with my family.
Where have you guys been able to find employment?
What?
Employment? Like, have you been
Yes,
able to work?
yes.
Well, that's good. Where do you work?
So I'm working Amazon for now.
Where is it?
Amazon.
Amazon. Nice. Is that one of the reasons why you moved here?
No, not really. So I live in Haiti before. So my mom lived here since 2018.
2018.
So yeah, that's why I live here.
Yeah, but here in Springfield, she moved here to Springfield, Ohio first?
Yes.
Okay. How did you guys hear about Springfield? Like, how did your mom hear about Springfield?
It's a very nice place, quiet place. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
So we love Springfield. It's very calm. So it's a very nice place.
It's very, despite all the national attention, there's not much going on in Springfield, Ohio today. It's pretty quiet.
Yeah, very quiet. Nice place, nice person, nice people, and it's very nice. It's not hot.
Yeah.
It's not hot. It's a nice place. I really like Springfield.
Now, how do you feel about the national story with like eating dogs and eating pets?
I don't care about that because I know it's not true.
It's not true.
No.
That's what I figured.
No, it's not true.
And do you feel like there's been a negative reputation that you guys have gotten with all of this?
Yeah, sure, but we don't care because we know this ourselves. We know Asian people don't eat dogs, don't eat cats. I never see cats in Springfield, so I don't have time to see that.
That's the way to treat it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely.
It's all about politics.
Right.
Yes. So I don't care about that.
Right. Do you feel like the overall population here in Springfield welcomes you guys?
I think people here don't have problem with Asian. So we live together since 2018. But so American people with Asian people. So and the program about the Biden program. So many Asian come live here. So they love here. So we try to do the best to live together. To American people with Asian people.
You're speaking really good English, by the way.
No, not really. So I try to do my best. So
yeah.
I'm shy, by the way.
And you've probably been working at it a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
but I go to school
job.
too. I go to school too.
You're doing a great job with it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is there anything else you would like to add about the situation? The spotlight that Springfield has been getting, the spotlight that your ethnic community has been getting.
So I have to say something. So American people, Asian people, at the end of the day, we're human first. So we're supposed to live together and don't be dramatic. So live together and stay cool. Because before Springfield was a nice place, quiet place. So I want my Springfield, the same Springfield.
You want it to stay the same way, just quiet and nice and friendly.
Yes,
right.
Friendly.
Right.
Friendly people.
Yeah, no doubt. So that was my experience in Springfield. I know that there's audio out there being spread across the media outlets of a Springfield resident calling dispatch to report a group of Haitians carrying geese in their hands, but at the moment of me uploading this video, No official reports of eating cats, dogs, or other people's pets. No evidence. Not out of Springfield anyway. Really, just like anything during election season, things easily get blown out of proportion by the media. But at the same time, there are some real problems here in Springfield that need to get sorted out. Hopefully, the best solution can be found where all residents, Americans, and Haitian migrants can be happy. Well, hey, I don't usually make videos on current events, so if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, as in order to make this video, I drove for 3.5 hours here and back to where I live, along with spending all of the next day editing so that it could be out in a timely fashion. Yeah, that's right. How's that for millennial victimhood? We'll see you in the next video. Peace.